Hej alle sammen, og velkommen tilbage fra pausen af. Nu skal vi over i et nyt emne. Vi skal nemlig til at diskutere platformsarbejde. Og vi er så heldige, at vi har fået besøg af Leila Chebbi fra La France Insoumise, som sidder i Europaparlamentet, og som blandt andet har lavet et forslag på, hvordan man kan komme med et direktiv for at sikre rettigheder for platformsarbejde. Så derfor vil jeg skifte over til engelsk nu, hvilket vi vil køre de næste 30 minutter. Sådan cirka da. First of all, I would like to say a big warm welcome to Leila Chebbi, who's a member of the European Parliament. Leila, in your daily work in the European Parliament, you work with the rights of platform workers in the Committee on Employment and Social Affairs, which is also known as EMPL. You have been very involved in platform workers' rights, and could you maybe let us know the main actions that you have done on this subject?
Hello, thank you, Sabrina. First of all, I wanted to thank the Red Green Alliance from Denmark, and I wanted to say hello to my colleague Nikolai Willumsen. I have the pleasure to work with him in the EMPL committee, in the Employment Committee in the European Parliament. He's our coordinator, and it's a pleasure to work with him. And so thank you for the invitation. Yes, I am very involved in the issue of platform workers. First of all, I have been involved in this issue since I am in the European Parliament, because before I was elected, before I was a member of the European Parliament, I used to be involved during many years in the topic on the topic of precariousness. I was involved in the topic of internship, in the topic of working condition, and platform work didn't exist when I started being involved in the topic of precariousness. But we've seen the last year a new visible part of a new trend of precarious workers. They are the platform workers. Who are we talking about? We're talking about drivers that use a platform that is supposed to connect them with a customer. We're talking about all the riders that we've seen in all over Europe, all over in every cities during the lockdown since the beginning of the pandemic. I don't know how it is in Denmark now, but you know, in France, from 7 o'clock, there is a curfew. Everybody needs to be at home, and the only people you can see in the street, this is the delivery men and women, the riders that deliver food from the restaurant to the house of people who have to stay. As these people, these workers are supposed to use a platform, and the platform is supposed to be an intermediate between them and the customer. But the fact is that as they are supposed to be self-employed, they are supposed to be independent. But when you look at all, this is the platform who have who choose how much they are going to get paid, who choose which course with an algorithm, which course they are going to get. They have a ranking system, so they have all the disadvantage of an employee status, which means yes, that you have a boss under you that tell you how to work, but without having the advantage of an employment status, which is labor law, social protection. And at the same time, for the platform, this kind of new precarious work is a way for the platform to have people working for them, to have people working for them, to have people that who obey, who do whatever they want, but without assuming their responsibility of employer. And this is a problem that we can see in all over Europe. That's why the new European Commission in 2019 decided to make legislative proposal at the European level in order to regulate this situation. Because during the last year, we've seen that every time when the workers are going to the court, they are going to the court, They are saying, okay, I'm supposed to be self-employed, but in fact, I'm just a worker. I have to execute what the platform wants me to do. But at the same time, I don't have the social protection. I don't have any right. I don't have a labor law. And I'm risking my life every day, but without any protection. And every time, most of the time, like 80% of the time, the judges all over Europe, all the tribunal said that we have to reclassify this worker contract. They don't have to be self-employed anymore, but they have to be employees. And every time the platform had to pay what they would have what they had to pay, they would have had to pay if the worker were employee. And now, the European Commission said that we are going to regulate the situation. But there is two ways of regulating this situation. You can legalize the situation that we have now, saying that, okay, it's totally legal to have workers, but without assuming our responsibility of boss, of employer. And it's totally legal to have workers that have to execute things that the platform and the algorithm want, but without having the I don't find the word in English, but la contrepartie, when you have a link of subordination, what make that you are not a slave, it's like you have the link of subordination, you have to give time for your boss, you have to execute what your boss said, but at the same time you have right. That's why you are not a slave, but you are employee. And the labor law has been built like that. And otherwise you are self-employed, but if you are self-employed, you are free to choose your fees, to choose the price, to choose the way you are going to execute the things. And so now the solution is, we create a third status between employee and self-employed. For me, it's a very, very bad and very, very dangerous solution. Or we enforce, and I think this is the way we have to go. We enforce the platform to respect the labor law, to recognize their worker as employees, and to assume their responsibility of employer. I made a proposal of directive but even if, as you know, the European Parliament doesn't have the right of initiative. It means that we can make a report in order to show the position of the Parliament, but we have to wait for the proposal that come from the European Commission, and then we amendate it, but we cannot write the first draft. But as the situation was it was an emergency, as all the tribunal said that we have to reclassify this type of contract, I decided to write myself a proposal of directive because I could not wait anymore for the proposal from the European Commission. I didn't write it by myself, of course, but with all the experts and association and lawyers that are experts of the issue. And I wrote the proposal of directive and I presented it to the commissioner, Nicolas Schmit, the commissioner of employment, in order to say, you can copy paste. We cannot wait anymore. We are waiting for your proposal. Your proposal have to go in order to recognize that this worker need to have the same right as any employee. You can copy paste my proposal of directive. Well, and now we are going to receive the official proposal of the European Commission at the end of the year, at the end of 2021. There is a balance of power, a very big balance of power now between, well, the workers' interest, and we could say my proposal of directive, enforcing the platform to respect the labor law, and on the other side, the lobbying from Uber. Uber is doing a big lobbying in order to have a solution completely different, which would mean to create a third category of worker, to um, to import what they already did in California, which means creating a third category of workers, which would give for the platform the right to have workers doing what you want them to do, but without assuming your responsibility of employers, without assuming, without giving them labor law, without giving them social protection. And so there is a big balance of power. We will know at the end of the year if the European Commission is going to listen more to the workers' interest or to the platform's interest. Which lobby will be more important? The traditional lobby with a lot of money, like Uber, Deliveroo, and many platforms, or I like to say the worker lobby, which is the workers' interest.
Thank you so much, Leila. That was a very nice introduction. You mentioned yourself the whole EU perspective of this. Um, but what do you think is actually the European Parliament's role in this? And how are the groups in the Parliament actually positioning in this group of workers?
Well, the role of the rule of the European Parliament, as I told you, we don't have the right of initiative in the European Parliament. We have to wait for the Commission proposal, and then we have the right to amend the text. But first of all, to show the Parliament position in a text which is called initiative report. And now we start working on this initiative report, and the initiative report will be voted in the plenary session and then sent to the European Commission. And the European Commission is going to make a proposal, and then we are going to do a second report. Well, I'm sorry, the Parliament and European Union is not very clear, and it's a bit technical, but so we will have a second report, which is a legislative report. And now we are working on the initiative report. Of course, we can see that there is differences between different position of the group the group. There is clear division between the group. You will have most of the group of all the group from the left wing, which means my group from the group of the left, the Green, the Socialist and Democrat, and also a part of the right wing, which will say that we have to say that the Parliament want a presumption of employment, want that the platform worker have a presumption of employment. At the same time, we can see that from the right wing, not everybody, but some of them from the right wing are very much influenced by the lobbying of Uber, and that they say that they repeat the argument of Uber, which means which are that it will completely break the market if you enforce platform to respect the law, that we have to create a third category of workers. But I think I'm quite optimistic, because I think all the argument of the platform, they are day by day they are broken. For example, when I know you have a debate just after with a representative of Just Eat, and it's very interesting because when you listen to Dara Khosrowshahi, the boss of the CEO of Uber, he will say that it's impossible in the business model, in the platform business model, to have employee. It's impossible, and they will have to go out of Europe if we enforce them to have employee. But at the same time, Just Eat, the platform Just Eat, which have the same business model, announced in France that they are going to employ thousands of riders with a status of employee, and I think they are doing the same all over Europe. So it's not true. It's not true at all. I think that during the pandemic, many people, many citizens discover the food delivery. They were not used before the pandemic to deliver their food, to have to call someone to bring him a box of sushi or pizza. And I think this behavior are going to carry on after the pandemic. There will be a market, but it's also, we can see as an opportunity to do it, but in an ethical way, in a social way. And it doesn't mean that this new behavior of consumption has to be done without respecting the labor law, without giving the social protection. No, we've seen many alternative cooperative in many cities that are doing the same job as Uber, for example, or Uber Eats, but they do it with employees. I was talking about Just Eat, it's the same. So I think it will be very important. The European Parliament has to show that we cannot adapt the law to the interest of the platform. The platform has to respect the law, and we need to enforce them to respect the law. We cannot create a third category of worker in order to adapt to what they want, but we have to enforce them. As you know, there is only one member state in the European Union that did it a few weeks ago, Spain, by a law, because there is many judgment from the court, but on the other side, you can do it by the law. And in Spain, the Spanish government enforce the platform who employ riders to give them the same right as any employees. So it's just possible. It's just a matter of political willing, and to know that if we have, if the politics has to listen more to the public and workers' interest or to the interest of Uber.
As you mentioned, we're now creating this third category, and that is very problematic. So, what do you think the left's core demand has to be for the proposal, and what do you think the role of trade unions are in this? You've mentioned legislative. You also mentioned Spain, but what do you think? Like the left can do and the trade unions?
Yeah, I know that we have a very different type of system into the European Union, and that collective bargaining is very important especially in Denmark, and that's the way of regulation of work. But the problem now is that the trade unions are not supposed to talk to organize the platform workers, as the platform workers are supposed to be self-employed. They're supposed to be a little company. Every platform workers, every riders, every drivers is supposed to be a company. But they don't have the right of a company. And if the proposal of directive we are fighting for is validated in the European Union, the trade unions would be able to represent the workers. They don't have the right, and it doesn't seem that we will have a legislation, a common legislation to any country, to every country, every member state. But it means that we respect that there is different type of system in every member state, but it would mean that from tomorrow, the platform workers would have the same right as any workers in every member state, but according to the different law in the member state, according to the different way of organizing the work in the member state, but they would have access to social protection and to the labor law and to the collective bargaining, depending on the way the member state act. But now it's impossible, and tomorrow it would be for platform to respect the law.
We have huge issues with platform workers in Denmark as well. We've had both Just Eat, who now has a collective pay, but now we are dealing with the Finnish company Volt, also food delivery. And a big problem regarding these platforms and the employment is the issue that these companies paying taxes where the employees are working. And how do you think that we need to tackle this? Because a lot of these platform workers don't know how to deal with taxes when they're self-employed.
Yeah, exactly. We are talking. We have to enforce the platform to respect the law, the labor law, but also the tax to pay the tax, because what is amazing is that the money that is earned by the platform is made in a country, is made because of the customer of the country, the citizen of the country, and the workers of the country. But they don't even pay the social protection. They don't even pay the tax as any. But at the same time, you will have a cooperative that will don't declare his benefits in Luxembourg or in a tax haven, but will respect the law. And so it's a matter of unfair competition, really. But also, I wanted to say that the matter is so it's a matter of unfair competition. It's also a matter of public services. You know, we've been talking a lot about the health public services because of the pandemic, and I think that many citizens are getting aware that it's important to have taxes in order to pay for the public health service, but also for the education. And when you have company that don't pay tax, it's millions of euros or of it's a lot of money that could have been spent in the public health service, and that is only going to in the pocket of the CEO of Uber. And also, what I wanted to say is that the issue is further that only platform workers. So we've seen it's a matter of public services. It's also, I think, a matter of all the work that concern all the workers, because if tomorrow you have a new kind of status, you have a third category of workers between employee and self-employed. I am the boss of a supermarket. I would be able to replace all my employee by this third category, because it would avoid me to pay social protection. I would be supposed to have self-employed, but without the benefits of self-employment, without the freedom, the autonomy of self-employment. They will have to respect what I've said, to be at work the time I want them to be, but without giving them the labor law. So it will be very dangerous for all the European societies, because they could be replaced by this kind of new category.
And what do you think the future perspective of this? How realistic is it that we can actually secure these labor rights for these workers?
I'm quite optimistic. I think that the CEO of Uber would not be so much acting. He's very active. He's been very active for a few weeks, a few months, because I think he's very afraid. He's very afraid because all his arguments are falling, and that all the tribunal said you have to reclassify. What you're doing is illegal. You cannot have self-employed if you don't give the right to them to choose the price. You have to respect the labor law, and so they are trying to find all the solution in order not to have to assume their responsibility. At the same time, I'm optimistic, but I think that we have to be very careful, because we know that they have a lot of money. I just want to remind that in California, there was a law voted by the government of California that enforce the platform to give to their workers the same right as any worker. What did Uber? They organized a referendum. Well, it's done with the particularity of the institution over there, but they organized a referendum. They spend $2,000 million, while at the same time, in front of them, they only have $20 million, so it means 10 times less. They organized a referendum. They made a lot of advertisements in order to cancel the law, and they managed to cancel the law. So we know that they are able to spend millions of euro, a lot of money, in order to enforce the politic to do what they want. And that's why I wanted to say also that they have a lot of money, but what we have the workers themselves. We have the number of the workers. And I organized in December 2019 in the European Parliament. I organized a transnational forum of alternative of Uberization. We invited 80 riders, drivers, platform workers into the European Parliament. We organized a meeting with the European Commission, and it made my job much easier after that, because when you manage to build this coalition of riders from all over Europe, from Denmark, from Spain, from Italy, and they don't speak the same language, but they all say the same things in front of the platform. It gives power. It gives power, and we are waiting for the end of the pandemic to organize a second edition. And I think it will be very important in the balance of power. It will be very helpful also for me, for us, for Nikolai, for the left wing into the European Parliament, to have the voice of the worker present like that. And I think it will be very powerful in order to fight to win the war. I don't know, it's not the word, but to win more than Uber and to make that Uber lose the game.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you for being so optimistic on this, and thank you for drawing up this perspective from an EU level, and most of all, thank you so much for your hard work.
Thank you very much.
I don't know.
Thank
I
you
don't know
very
if
much.
you have one final remark, but otherwise than that, thank you so much.
Thank you. No, I hope you will have a good end of event, and I would be very happy if next time we could do the same, and I would be very pleased to do it, but physically, of course, as everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Leila.